Lotte, and away, clear it up, don't let him play on, good. Well done. Lotte, good header that, well done. Who are you dealing with, Lotte? Good! Brilliant! Good stuff! Last one! Good position. In terms of an England training camp, there's several different components. We look to develop each aspect of a player to be able to enhance their ability to move through the pathway in order to become a senior Lioness, essentially. That involves components such as physical development. We cover profiling and benchmarking to test where players are at and obviously give us some real clear areas that we can help them and develop them for the future. We cover technical tactical aspects, which looks at different formations as a variation for what we're doing. And that then allows us to be more flexible when we're playing against tough opposition. We also have good support from a psychological perspective for players that are going through different challenges at different stages, which is obviously only natural. And then we also cover different education associated to recovery aspects to basically give the whole player overview for them so that they understand what it's going to take to move into that senior Lioness role and be successful and stay there, basically. Because you are sort of hopping. If you're mid-air when you change his pace, you've got to land and go, and it depletes the time that you've got to be able to do it. When working with staff as a head coach, for me, I think it's really important that everyone gets to voice an opinion and has a say. And we have experts in all different fields and from all different backgrounds. And the collaboration associated to that, I found really helpful. People come in with different perspectives, and I'm open to all those perspectives because ultimately, you know, those experts have got an opportunity in a way to be able to drive the group forward in a different way. So for me, I find that really beneficial to work with people from all those backgrounds and to listen to how we can essentially put a programme together that's really going to benefit our international teams.
In terms of working with Rehanne, it's very easy really, because Rehanne's such a diligent person in terms of planning and making sure that, you know, sort of every little detail is looked at. So whether that's across the MDT in terms of the physical preparation, the mental preparation of players, and then obviously probably more my remit around the technical preparation of players. You know, we've got that strong relationship where Rehanne will give us a lot of autonomy to take responsibility, which is brilliant, you know, for myself as a coach.
The plan, do, review model for me helps us to have a clear process in place that then enables us to check and challenge whether we've achieved the things that we set out to achieve. So obviously the planning phase for me is, if you go into things prepared, then any eventuality that happens allows you to be a bit more flexible, more adaptable, and it creates less stress in the environment as well, and it can be really demanding, you know, over the course of whatever it is that we're doing, whether that just be intense training sessions or multiple games, etc. When we're doing the sessions, you know, from our perspective, we review straight after sessions because I think it's important that you get a feel for how things have gone, as well as then being able to reflect on it in a little bit more detail after the event, where you can then check on what objectives you have achieved, and if we haven't, or if we need to do something else or focus on something else, it sort of starts the cycle again. And ultimately we're striving to be the best in the world as England national teams, so if we're not prepared to sort of review those effectively, I think it's very difficult to tell whether we are achieving those things or not. So the whole cycle for me, I think, is a really important process. Come on, quality, come on, Pops! Get out and press, get out and press, get out and press, you're even numbers! There's no reason not to press! Good, play! And relax there, good stuff.
tell me the best way to exploit an overload. Draw them? Okay. So in order to stop an overload then, when you're out of possession, what's the best way to stop it? Okay, so think about when you're doing this now, for this next round, because you're defending this one primarily, think about how you get them into a position where, rather than it being a 2 versus 1, it's actually a 1v1. Or rather than it being a 3v2, it's a 2v2. So give me an example how you can do it. Right, so you've got to shut off the angle to that pass on your approach to going to do that, and then you've got to be ruthless in that 1v1, okay?
I think for me there's two key components when you're working with players. Obviously being in the international setup, the DNA is a key part of what we do and structure with every part of our sessions so that the players are learning that throughout the process. But the other side of it for me is how you then work with players as well. Because if you don't know how players tick and what their motivations are and the point and the stages that they're at and what they are trying to get out of the game, I think it's hard to progress them as quickly as what you'd maybe like to. I think we've had some fantastic conversations in the group as to what it's going to take to bridge the gap to the seniors, and that's happening ongoing in each camp and when I'm working with players away from camp as well, to help to identify the finer details of the things that they're asking me for to support them to be able to actually make the transition a little bit more easily. So ultimately, you know, we go through what they're wanting to work on through an individual development plan. We then work out how they're going to achieve that through setting realistic targets and opportunities to work on those things. And then we check in and have progress sort of checks, if you like, either through scouting games or watching them play or them sending clips to be able to work with them on how to take the next step really. So there's clear measurable targets essentially to help them to bridge that gap.
I think me and Rehanne haven't worked together for very long, but from what I've had for the last, I think, 3 camps I've been on, what I've really noticed is the detail she puts into things. So it's not just about coming here to perform, that's a massive part obviously, but it's continuing your football education and giving you something different to what you get at clubs. So experiencing different formations and not just throwing it all at us. It's never rushed, it's methodical, it's thought out and discussed together, so you have a real clear understanding in the classroom before you then go out, and the messages you hear on the pitch are the same as in the classroom.
I think the women's game has changed so much. There was a period of time I was working 5 different roles in order to do the elite role that I wanted to do, because there wasn't really any full-time jobs in the women's game for it at that time. So it actually made me move abroad for a few years to be able to stay on the grass and keep coaching, which is something I'm really passionate about. That sort of evolved into an opportunity back in the UK when the game changed in those 3 years. So fortunately I was then able to come back and work with the Wales national team and then back into the role that I'm doing now, which has been a really great experience overall.